Hi, it's Sarah again, and I wanted to touch on something. Obviously, as a coach, I get my clients to take steps forward, be that in their career or in their life in general. And it's very easy to do this work when everything's going really, really well. But actually, the greatest challenge can come when things are going a little bit awry. And that's very often the time where we want to just maybe get like a massive tub of Ben and Jerry's, sit on the sofa and not do very much. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. I'm not a fan of trying to force yourself to be positive when you're not feeling positive. I think that's actually quite dangerous. I think sometimes, or very often in fact, our uncomfortable feelings can be our greatest teachers. You can always learn something. So for me, what I wanted to just briefly touch on today in this short video was around trying to ask yourself some questions about when things are going wrong, or you feel things are going wrong, about how you can maybe learn from those experiences. So you could ask yourself, you know, where have I encountered this situation before? This is where a journal comes in really handy, writing this stuff down, because I just find, and particularly with my clients, I get them to journal as well, because very often we have stuff swooshing around in our head, and then when we write it down on paper, something happens between the head and the hand that means you can see something very objectively, and it's outside of your head, so you can actually see it in front of you. But you know, perhaps ask yourself, has this situation happened before? Where has it happened before? Where have I observed that or felt this feeling before? What do I think this feeling is telling me? What could I have done differently? What can I learn from this situation? And sometimes when it's a very deeply entrenched situation that's triggered us, we can't always have access to those answers straight away, and that's fine. Another thing you can do is just sort of ask some of those questions before you go to bed, and just see what happens overnight. You know, do you get any like bizarre dreams that you've never had before? In which case it's worth looking them up, by the way. But do you get any answers overnight? You know, is there anything that's slowly dawning on you to think, okay, this is what I've learned from this situation, therefore this is what I will be mindful of next time, or this is how I've reacted and I've observed that in myself before, and that's something I would like to change. I've helped people in this situation before where they've realised that they're having conflict in the workplace, for example, conflict with team members. So sometimes if you make a little shift, you find that other people's reactions shift as well. So I've used it in those situations. I've used it myself in personal situations, personal relationships. It can be useful to ask those questions. It sort of stops you blaming other people and maybe taking responsibility for your own actions, but also making sure that you're not repeating the same mistakes, because sometimes we can get the same lesson, let's call it that, dealt to us several times over until we kind of get the lesson, if that makes sense. So as I say, it can be used in a business context, in a personal context, but it's really useful to ask yourself those very honest questions. And don't be surprised if you're in a low place that you don't get the answers straight away, but just ponder on it, think about it. Might take a few days. So yeah, don't worry about it. It's you know, we're all going to deal with crap in our lives. It's just about how you deal with it, I think, is the most important thing, and what you learn from it. Okay, speak to you soon. Bye.